All right, it's time for Animal Talk. Some of the best doggone pet people on the planet, having a little fun, helping you with your pets. Animal Talk, it is America's Pet Show. I'm Jamie Flanagan.
I'm Brian Donovan.
And it's time for Animal Talk, and we have guests with us today. This time we have, well, he should be furry, but he's not really furry. What's going on? We're going to find out what's going on. It's Detroit Pit Crew Dog Rescue and a wannabe furry little friend, and we're going to find out all about them. Theresa and Jim, and what's our little guy's name?
Gordo.
Gordo. All right.
So the organization is Detroit Pit Crew. And why don't you tell us what the mission statement is?
So the mission statement for Detroit Pit Crew Dog Rescue is that we rescue the stray, destitute dogs of Detroit.
Okay. Now we have Gordo here. Gordo, he's got some issues. He's got some mange. One thing we should all know about pit bulls, they're all ferocious, and they will all bite your face off. Look at this. Can we get a close-up of Gordo? That's the ferocity in this breed. So what's going on with Gordo? He doesn't have any hair.
Gordo, we were contacted by another rescue group that said somebody from Detroit had contacted them about poor Gordo. He had no hair left, that he needed medical attention, and his owners were not able to get him any further medical care. They had taken him to a vet, and the vet wasn't able to really help him. I don't know if they didn't have enough money, they went to the wrong vet, I'm not sure, but I said, hey, we'll come and we'll take the dog and we'll get him to our vet. We'll make sure he gets taken care of.
So what's the end game for Gordo? Are you trying to place him in a home, or what's...
Well, the end game for us usually is just making sure that the dogs get healthy and fully vetted. Usually once they're healthy and fully vetted, then most of them are transferred to one of our partner organizations, and then they're adopted out from there.
Now, who are the partner organizations?
Oh, we have many, many partner organizations. So in our particular area, Canine Companions, we work with I Heart Dogs. We work with, several organizations, Pet Tails in Grand Rapids. So we have partners all throughout the state of Michigan that contract with us. They sign a contract, and so they take on the dogs that we rescue off the streets of Detroit.
So these dogs that are rescued, we don't know a whole lot about them. Some may have a checkered past. Some may have some fighting, background. Some of them may have some abuse. Is there some kind of evaluation process that you put the dogs through?
Well, yes, there is. As a matter of fact, before I started the rescue, I was actually a trainer. So I worked for many of the rescues in the area. I was actually a last chance rehabilitator. So I worked with dogs that had been, usually had attacked other trainers or had, been gone through extraordinary circumstances. Maybe they had come out of a fighting situation. So I was hired by other rescues to actually work with these dogs to make sure they were adoptable. So yes, I'm a qualified trainer, and so I actually do the assessment on them, and then sometimes when necessary, we'll call in a second trainer just to make sure that they have the same opinion that I do.
Okay, so where is Gordo in this process?
Well, Gordo already has been assessed. Gordo is a wonderful dog. He's only 3 months old. I have no reason to believe that he'll have any issues. We see no signs of food aggression, dog aggression. When I picked him up, he was with children, and with other dogs, so I knew that he was going to be fine with other dogs. So I'm making decisions in my head very quickly. As a matter of fact, that's how we really got into rescue, is that I was called by a police officer in Detroit to come out and visually assess the situation as a trainer.
Okay. So the problem with Gordo at this point, he has mange. It's you've made a point to tell me it's not contagious, because you look at him, Gordo's a little homely at this point.
Yeah.
Kind of like Jamie was before when he had mange, before his hair grew back in. But so it's all going to grow back? He's going to be okay?
Sure, absolutely. All his hair will grow back. He'll be perfectly fine. He'll look better in about a month, and once he's looking better, then we'll make sure to get him vaccinated, and then he'll be neutered, and then he'll be ready to find a home. Now,
I was making a joke earlier about pit bulls, and we all know that pit bulls are ferocious and they're man-eaters. I was joking. What is the, if you were to kind of give a blanket statement about pit bulls, their behavior and their personality, are they really what people think they are, as far as aggression?
And I really don't think that we should judge dogs based on their breed. We should judge dogs based on their own individual behavior. In today's world, we really don't like prejudices, and so I'm totally against prejudice. And then the other thing is, are we properly identifying a dog as a pit bull? As we were talking about before, if we did a DNA test, maybe he would have a little bully breed in him, but he could be a combination of many different types of dogs.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at him, actually, you've been holding him for about 45 minutes. He's very, very cuddly.
Yes, he is.
And he's kind of romantic. He's you can tell he'll fall asleep if you start petting him. I have a cat here in the room. He's got a little bit of an issue with the cat. He's barking at him a little bit, but I think it's more that he doesn't know what the cat is. So he's trying to figure out. So sometimes dogs will bark just to see, is this thing going to jump? Is it going to be friendly? What's it going to do? But he's got a really solid temperament so far.
Oh, absolutely. And he's actually going into our home, and we have 3 cats, and we have 3 other dogs. Actually 4. We have another foster dog, and so I'm sure that he'll be fine with the cats and the other dogs.
Now it looks like Jim has the same condition. He has mange here too. And aside from being
Didn't work on that.
aside from being eye candy, what is Jim here for? Just to hold the dog?
Jim is my muscle. Jim is my husband. He's the assistant director of the organization, and so Jim initially funded the rescue, and Jim is also comes out into the field with me and helps us rescue dogs, and is a big supporter of the rescue.
Good job, Jim. Good job.
So how many dogs are you working with at one time? How many can you handle? How many do you want to handle?
So our train moves very quickly. So there'll be times on Monday we rescued 12 dogs. So 10 were puppies and a mama dog and then Gordo. And so already the mom and puppies, we took them to the vet, they got assessed, we determined that mom was heartworm positive, and then they were already transferred to our friends at Canine Companions who have experienced fosters for a mom and 10 puppies. So we work with organizations that can help us move these dogs out very quickly, and that happened to be an owner surrender, so we did not have to hold the dog on stray hold. We had a signed surrender form, so we were able to just transfer the dog as soon as we had it medically assessed. And so we move dogs out very quickly. There's been times we got called to a situation that ended up being a dog fighting house. We were with Detroit Police, and in one day we picked up 14 dogs out of a dog fighting house. 14 dogs. So we actually had 2 vehicles, and we actually had to get the dogs. We couldn't pick them all up, so the Detroit Police stood by while we moved some into a veterinary hospital because they were all, of course, in need of medical care, and then we went back and picked up the second load.
Yeah. So how can people help out? Do you take donations?
Oh, we take donations. Yes, we do. So our biggest cost, we have no paid employees. So our biggest cost is actually our vet bills. Our vet bills run between $10,000 and $15,000 a month. So we take on extraordinarily high medical issue dogs. So we got a dog that had actually chewed her own leg off. So she had to have an amputation on the remaining part of her leg. We had a dog that had blunt force trauma to the eye. So the eye had to be removed. And this is just all recently. Then we had another dog that had a prolapse uterus. So that had to be fixed. So right there, we were looking at almost $6,000 in vet bills. So our vet bills are extraordinarily high.
Are there any vets that you partner with, that help you out, give you deals? Who are they?
So we use Centerline Veterinary Hospital because they're an AHA accredited veterinary hospital, which means they're top of the line. We also use OVRS for our emergencies. That'd be a vet that we would use for extreme emergencies. Yes.
And what's the website? Can people contact you
Yes, they can
and
contact
donate
us.
on the website?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
They can. It's DetroitPitCrew.com.
Detroit.
Detroit
Right here?
Pit Crew.
DetroitPitCrew.com.
So by the name, you're assuming that pit bulls are the only thing you deal with, but it's not.
So basically, we thought Pit Crew would be a cute name because, Motor City, Pit Crew, kind of made sense.
Sure.
So it's very deceiving because some people are like, oh, you only do pit bulls. No, that's incorrect. We do a lot of any type of dog that is in need.
They're just dogs.
Once in a while, we'll pick up cats. I mean, if I see a cat get hit by a car or if a cat's getting or whatever, of course I will pick it up. I will never leave any animal, to suffer. I would always pick it up. But in general, we do mostly dogs.
Okay.
So we pick up a lot of small dogs, a lot of, premium breed dogs. It's amazing that, how these dogs end up running around Detroit. I have no idea, but they do. So, if we're able to rescue them and if they need help, we do.
So in Detroit, for a pit bull, it really is a one-way trip when they get into the hands of the Humane Society. Is there any way, are you involved with them at all, of trying to home those dogs before that happens?
You mean like with Michigan Humane Society?
Yeah.
No, we don't really work with the Humane Society. There's been kind of a change in their status, so they don't really pick up strays unless the strays are injured. In general, their dogs are owner surrenders, or they take dogs from other states and bring them up here from the south. They don't really pick up stray dogs anymore. Now that's the job really of animal control. And so we don't really work with Michigan Humane Society, really at all.
And they do adopt animals out. So
Yeah, they do.
They do. Yeah. But the animal control, really for a pit bull, it is a one-way trip.
Well, that's the other thing that we do. So when we came into Detroit, about 6 years ago, we moved here. We said, there's a great need in the city. These dogs are suffering, and there's no real organizations that are helping. So we need to come in and make a difference in the city. And part of doing that is we have to look at what the root of the problem is, which is really bad ownership. And then we also need to see what organizations have been helping and and are actually employed by the taxpayers? Are they helping? And so we found that no, Detroit Animal Control needed a lot of help. They were killing a whole lot of dogs. So what we said is we're going to protest them. We're going to protest endlessly until we make sure their leader gets fired. So we did that. We just spent months protesting. Their leader got fired. They have a new animal-loving, pit bull-loving director. She also used to have a rescue in Detroit, and she was a trainer. And so now they have been saving a bunch of dogs. Last year they transferred out over, I don't know, it was like close to 700 dogs. So they're saving a ton of dogs now. So we're able to see that, the people in the city who are, funded by taxpaying dollars, who are picking up a high volume of dogs and have a $2.1 million budget, they're able to go and pick up these dogs and safely rehome them. They have a lot of trainers now, and they're getting partner organizations like we do. Yeah. So they transfer the dogs out so that these dogs are able to go to other areas and be adopted. And so we found the city is really changing in regards to the animal welfare.
That's great.
Yes.
And it's, because the city's growing and it's flourishing again, hopefully even more. And so as more people come in there with pets, you're gonna have strays that need some homes. There's several rescues that deal with pit bulls. Are you work in cooperation with any of those?
Well, I would say that names are deceiving. That most any rescue in Detroit that's there right now would pick up any breed of dog that needed help. We know almost all of the main rescues in Detroit, and almost all of us would pick up any breed of dog that needed help. If it was a husky, if it was a dachshund, if it was a Chihuahua, whatever, Great Dane, we would help the dog no matter what.
Excellent. So again, what's the website?
The website is DetroitPitCrew.com.
All right. So
and
excellent.
please follow us on Facebook. Yeah.
The social. Well, that's an excellent question. I was going to ask you that. Social media. How important is social media in your mission now? How has it changed what you do and how you do it?
It's amazing. We actually had no idea that our Facebook page would take off the way it did. I mean, we've only been a rescue for about almost 4 years now. In October, it'll be 4 years. So when I started posting this stuff on Facebook, we got a great response. People were like, oh my God, what is going on here? And I'm like, yeah, we couldn't believe it either. That's why we're out here helping. And so really, all of a sudden, our Facebook page started growing. And then, there were some news stories on us. And so then it grew even more. And so now we currently have 244,000 people on our Facebook page.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's huge for a local website.
Yeah.
Or a local Facebook.
It amazes
amazing,
us some days that, so many people are interested in these animals.
And there isn't even any porn content. And for 240,
right, I know. That's the amazing part. Maybe if we added that, we'd get even more followers.
I was waiting to get there.
Point, Brian.
Yeah. No, that's extraordinary. It really
no.
is.
We have followers from New Zealand, Australia, Japan.
People send
all
us
over the
T-shirts.
world.
Yeah.
All over
Yeah.
Europe. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Have you placed a dog outside of Michigan, and can you place dogs outside of Michigan?
One time we did find a really great home in West Virginia. We had found a Neapolitan Mastiff, and we found somebody who was very experienced with the breed. And so we did, we did vet checks, we did references and all that to make sure that, it was an appropriate home. And this family adopted the dog, and that was about 2 years ago, and we still get updates. It's amazing. They were great.
That's
home.
important. With some breeds, you can't. Some breeds aren't beginner dogs.
That's right.
And Neapolitan Mastiff, there's some issues there. The size of the dog, number one, is something that a lot of people aren't really prepared to take into their house.
That's right.
And there are some behavioral concerns. There are some things that you have to make sure environmentally.
Right.
That it's so you have to ask questions about children in the house and in the environment. The environment itself. Is it a condo? Is it an apartment? Is it a home? Are you on a ranch with 20 acres?
Do you have a fence? Do you
Are
have
the
a
people
privacy?
healthy to exercise?
Sure.
Do you get along with your neighbors? Because sometimes neighbors, have dogs that maybe, this dog may not get along with. And so we ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So we get questions too. People will send us emails and they'll ask questions. And so I have a question that we're going to skip ahead to the question.
Oh, we got questions.
Yeah, we're going to skip ahead to the question. So we got deer. Pardon? Oh, yeah. All right, fair play. We good?
Yep, you're good.
All right, so we get questions. And so we have an email question here. So, Dear Animal Talk, my pup is a 2-year-old Australian cattle dog. He's a rescue, but very food aggressive. He's a lover and a sweetie pie all the time, but when we go to feed him, he gets snarly, and he'll bark when we touch his dishes, empty or full. Is this common? Is it common in rescues? What can we do? Scared off the ranch.
All right, you guys are my backup singers now. Here we go. I've got this. No, well, when you look at a breed of dog to bring into your house, you have to look at what that dog was bred for, right?
Yes.
And some dogs were bred to be companion animals. Some dogs were bred to be hunters. This is a herding dog. Australian cattle dog was meant to do a very specific type of work. They're bred to be, they're very smart, and they're very energetic. So that's not always a good combination to have a dog in the house. A lot of Australian cattle dogs are garbage rating dogs. They scarf their food down. They can be a little bit nippy because that's the nature of a herding dog. So the first thing you want to do is get an evaluation on the dog. And with a dog like this, what jumps out at me is get them involved with something. Agility, obedience, get the dog working.
Right.
That's what that dog is bred to do. The dog is bred to work. So before you start thinking, your dog is aberrant or there's something wrong with them, start working with the dog. I mean, imagine if you're a creative person and you have no outlet for that creativity. You're going to go a little crazy, okay? With Australian cattle dogs, they need to work. I had one recently, and my daughter, she lives in a high-rise apartment complex. She has to take an elevator 14 floors up, and she was watching the dog, and the dog was getting a little bit stir-crazy. I mean, so you're taking a dog that's meant to be, on a ranch somewhere, herding animals, and you put him in a 6x6 elevator, and it's not fair. It's not fair to the animal. So I know you can't back your way out of that and say, well, maybe I didn't evaluate this to begin with. What breed of dog is best for me, but you do have to kind of look at that and say, it's incumbent on me as the caretaker of this dog to make sure that this pet is is active. I mean, not all dogs are like that. You take whippets, for example,
right.
Or the sighthounds. The sighthounds, they're bred to hunt, but they're also a breed that will spend 20 hours a day sleeping. So maybe that it's a better choice for a condo or an apartment. Look at this guy here.
He's out.
Yeah,
He's out.
He's done. Look at him. Look at. He's just that's.
This
dog is more my speed right here.
Yeah. Is it more common for food aggression in the rescue pups?
No, I actually wouldn't say that. We get dogs that are severely emaciated, in terrible shape, and no, I wouldn't say that we get, we don't really deal with a lot of food aggression. As a trainer and stuff, when we used to be heavily into training, what we do is every dog, especially we'd get a lot of feral dogs. So feral dogs, the first thing we do is hand feed them. You don't get bowls. You eat out of my hand. If you try to bite me, you're not getting any food. Then they realize that I'm their source. See, I'm their source, so they're not going to growl at me. And that was always that was the point, is to make sure that they understood this is mine and I'm giving it to you right now, but I can always take it away until they trusted us.
Or just have Jim stare at him. He's a scary guy. He can be frightening. He was.
But I don't think that every dog is food aggressive, but I think are some dogs food aggressive? Yes, for possibly different reasons. Maybe they had to fight for food. We don't know what the reason was, but it's something that needs to be addressed, obviously, because nobody wants to get bit, by any breed of dog.
When you turn a dog over to a new owner, what do you suggest and recommend as far as training?
Well, actually, we don't really do that much of the adopting out part of rescue. Okay. So in general, we're turning them over to one of our partner organizations who then would turn them over to someone else. So like Canine Companions has their own trainer on staff. Mm-hmm. And so if there's any behavioral issues or whatever, then they call Canine Companions, and Canine Companions sends their trainer over to try to work out any issues.
Is training important?
I think it can be, yes. It depends on the dog, though. I know some dogs, like I said, we were mentioning a dog named Hamilton that had come straight out of a dog fighting house where you were given the dog by Detroit police. That dog had really almost no issues. Basically, he wanted to lay on a couch. He'd actually had to have his eye removed because of fighting. The dogs had injured his eye so badly. He likes other dogs. He likes people. He goes to youth group meetings. He is just a very lazy, laid-back dog, and he's a bully breed dog. So, there's a dog who is didn't want to fight. He doesn't want to fight now. He just wants to lay around and be happy and be merry.
That's a good answer. You said, is it important? She said it can be. When I was actively training full-time, people would say, a lot of times they'd call and say, this dog is nothing like my last dog. I didn't even have to take him to training. And I said, if every dog was like your last dog, I wouldn't be in business. Right. Because, some dogs are pretty much, anybody with any skill level can kind of, some dogs are very intuitive. Other dogs needs help, a lot of help, and that's why our profession exists.
I hate that when people say, it wasn't like my last dog. You shouldn't compare this dog to your last dog.
No.
They're not comparable. It's like your kids may not exactly be the same.
Just like you shouldn't compare Jim to your first three husbands.
Right. Why would I do that?
Right.
Obviously, Jim's the best.
Obviously, he's number 4.
Right.
Why wouldn't he be the best? Yeah.
Exactly.
Hamish is not getting enough camera time. Get
Yeah,
Hamish.
he looks a little early over there.
His ears are back. He's like,
He looks a little surly.
I am not getting enough camera time. He needs some loving.
He knows he's on camera. Look at him. How about my ears back? Is that better? Is that a better look?
Up,
I look more
front,
streamlined
front,
this
back,
way.
Front, back. What's better? All right, he's done with that.
Another point, just real quick, it drives me crazy is when we, are rehoming a dog or when you're getting a dog, they're not there really to meet your needs. You know what I mean? Unless you're getting a service dog, you're the owner, so you're responsible to take care of the dog's needs. And that does, kind of really drive me crazy. You are responsible for that animal. It's not responsible for you. So then that means that you're willing to do whatever necessary to make sure the dog's healthy, happy, and behaving.
That's a good point.
And if it's working the dog because they're a working breed of dog, that's what you've agreed to. That's what you've committed to. And a commitment should be honored.
Hey, Jim, turn around. Your shirt actually has a very, very good logo on it. And kind of put the dog over your shoulder. And turn around and kind of do a kissy face to the camera.
Oh my God. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being with us, taking some time, bringing a little guy out here. I like ending stuff with a bad animal joke of the week. You ready for this?
No, we're not ready.
We're ready. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Jamie.
What sound do porcupines make when they kiss?
I don't know. What sound do porcupines make when they kiss?
Ouch!
Ouch.
There you
That
go.
was bad. If I know
That
the
is
punchline.
bad.
That hurt.
That is the bad animal joke of the week. And that's it for the show. We're done. We should probably stop now. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, no, thanks for having me.
Gordo.
Yeah. Aw. Thank you.
Thank you.